Minutes of the previous meeting held on March the 9th. I have a mover and seconder, please. Terry, thank you very much. Al, any discussion on these minutes? All in favor? Thank you, that's passed. Second one are the minutes of the in-camera Finance Committee meeting held on that same date, March the 9th. I have a mover and seconder, please. Al, thank you. And Terry, is there any discussion or questions? That's approved. Thank you. And I forgot to call for the declaration of conflict of pecuniary interest. There being none, we'll move on. New business is the Niagara Regional Police Service 2018 budget. And I'm not sure, Chief, who's taking the lead on this presentation?
I think I'll turn it to Lisa and Laura, are both here to provide any kind of high-level information that you need and any questions you have, but keeping in mind the report kind of says what we have at this point. This is the initial very high level, and any questions you have, both Lisa and Laura will do what they can to assist.
Okay. Questions? David?
Thank you, Chair. Just the last page of the I see the capital budget timetable, at least. So that process is underway. I see it looks like we will be seeing that at the board meeting later this month. And then there's a line where it says budget delivered to regional corporate services. That's to the staff.
Right. So we will ask direction on the we will take direction from you on the 27th to decide if we can send it to staff with noted as draft, and then they will note it, because I've seen the corporate services committee, no, the budget review committee, the whole documents that you have for tonight that you'll be going over, and that has our forecast for 2018 in it. So our actual capital budget doesn't match that completely, so we would like to give them they asked us for the updated version. We said we couldn't bring it to them until we spoke to you, so we'd like to give it to them on that date, even if it's still draft. Okay, thanks. I appreciate that clarity and that line of sight that this board see it, review it, discuss it before committee or council of the region. And so I'm looking at the operating budget timetable as well, and I think it's very, very helpful and comprehensive guideline. But I will say, I know this report is to receive for information, but in terms of providing some guidance to staff as they set their budgets over the summer and before we sit down again in the fall or September, I know the region is likely to pass a 2% guidance, and there's a budget meeting tonight at 5:30, which I'll be chairing. And so rather than wait, I see this timetable. The budget kickoff actually was yesterday or 2 days ago from the police services. So I'd like to, Chair, if I may at this time, move a motion that the Police Services Board pass a 2% budget guidance for the police services for the 2018 budget, so that we see what that looks like along with other opportunities at the September 28th meeting. And
so for clarification, you want to, develop a budget that shows a 2% maximum increase in total?
Sorry, it's just as guidance. So when it comes back in September, we'll see what that would look like to help shape the discussion on whether more resources are needed or not. So it's not setting it in stone. It is guidance.
Okay, thank you. That's a motion, David? Yes, please. Seconded by Al Caslin.
I'd like to speak to it.
Al, go ahead.
Thank you. Just want to reference a letter that came out yesterday from Margaret Murphy that talks about a 2018 budget guidance at 2%. So this is consistent with what's being asked for from the region's corporate finance folks, and I do support the request to look at this as a guidance.
Thank you. Chief?
I think the board is probably expecting what I'm about to say, but I just think it's important that you are aware on the record that Currently, right now, with, based on the contract settlements from that took place in the negotiations last year, the starting point right now where the service stands, without even bringing you additions and requests for extras that they require, we currently sit at 5.5%. So just so the board's aware, to get to 2%, we're looking at a 3.5% reduction in the budget, which is, frankly, I suspect is the only way to do that is people. So it's just important that the board knows that we're a long ways away from that target. They set the target as the board chooses, but on behalf of the service, you need to know that we're at 5.5 right now because of the contract settlement, benefits, salary days, POA responsibilities, and a 1.1% fuel increase. I just thought the board would like to know that. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Chief. Terry?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'm just wondering, Chief, is that in this report anywhere? The 5.5 number, if it is, I couldn't find it. Thank you.
So because there's still so many unknown factors and we haven't gone through the process, we didn't put a total at the bottom. We didn't put a lump sum, but if you add up it, under each item, we have said what the impact on the budget was under each individual item. We did not put a total at the bottom because there still are a number of unresolved factors, things that have just come up in the past 2 weeks. The fuel price, the region just changed it. I think yesterday we just got another change for the fuel price. So we didn't put a total at the bottom. We didn't want to put a number out there yet, official number out there, and that be what everyone's expecting, because there are a lot of unresolved factors. We're waiting to hear about the casino. We're waiting to hear about grants. I mentioned fuel. We haven't seen any program changes. The program managers are doing a detailed program reviews right now, like program budgets right now. So we didn't put any additional numbers out there. We also are going through a review with the region still, the county review. So we didn't put a full number out there. Can I just ask for clarity, because we didn't get that letter from Margaret yesterday. It probably just hasn't got to us yesterday. But the region's budget formula always gives the police less than they give everybody else. So it's usually 2 overall for the region, but their budget formula that's in their budget calculations usually gives us less. So is that 2 for the police, or is that 2 for everybody, or 2 overall, just for our sake? Because when we present it, we just don't know what number that is.
Yeah, I'm not sure who it all went out to. The address that I'm looking at is Group Budget ID Owners. So if you can get in touch with Margaret Murphy and get some clarity on that.
Bob?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I wanted to reiterate what the chief said. I understand that 2% will probably not be achievable, but we have to try on this. And the region's got problems too with trying to be in their budget guidance of this too, but we owe it to the community to put the pressure on, just like we did, I think, with the 1% too. We said, bring it in and show us what happens at 1% and if it can't be achievable, at least we know what we can't do, but we have to try. So that was the point of it, and I'm glad Dave brought it up now so that the forecast is out there, and you try and show us the way it is. And I know, Chief, you'll be retired by then, and the pressure will be on Acting Chief at that time, Brian McCulloch, but this is the way we work, and show us what we can't achieve or what we can achieve, and try it from there. Brian wants to speak too.
Brian, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to clarify with the motion that Member Barrick brought forward. Are you expecting to see a budget that is aligned with the 2% guidance, or of what a budget would look like with 2% guidance?
The short answer is yes. So here's what 2% would look like. You may not recommend it. You may have outlining, here's what you've asked for, here's what it looks like, here's what you recommend we need. So it's just kind of that information options. And if I may, it's a normal process. Local municipalities, other agencies, usually at the beginning start off with budget pressures, 7, 8, 9%. Then that's part of the discussion through the meetings of, okay, now how do we get to a point where we ensure proper resources for public safety and prioritize and repurpose, et cetera. So we're not asking anything unusual, if I may.
Very good. I just wanted to understand the board's direction on that. Thank you.
Terry?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just wanted further clarification on the 5.5%. I understand that there's unresolved issues and things are indefinite. So my question is the 5.5 inclusive of some guesstimation of the non-fixed unknowns at the present time, or are they going to be on top of the 5.5% in your estimation? Thank you.
So what we provided you was the knowns at the time the board report was written. So those are the knowns at the time of the board, but we know there are unresolved factors. A few of them have risen in the past few weeks, so there are some more unresolved factors that we still are calculating. Some of them, for instance, are the impact of operational changes within the collective agreement. Some of them are other items that are out of our control, but though we're still calculating those, and we need the program managers to assist us with calculating those.
So for clarity, then, there has been some guesstimation put into the 5.5 on those, but it's still got to be fine-tuned, or there's been no guesstimation?
There's been no guesstimation. These are the ones we positively know the calculation of, and then on top of that will be the ones that we're just figuring out as we go along.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, Lisa, I have one. You may, have we estimated an adjustment for the SOA settlement?
Yeah, that's included in there. We just included in there same based on what we know so far. So it should be, we should be fine with that within there.
Thank you. Nothing else? Motion to receive? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. We have a motion on the floor. All in favor? Thank you. That's passed. Now we have a motion to receive. Thank you, Al. Terry, thank you for seconding it. Discussion? All in favor? Thank you. That's passed. Is there any other business to be brought forward?
Yes.
Al, go ahead.
Thank you. We don't have a facilities meeting today, I understand that. So I do need to have an update on the status of the #1 district build for the headquarters in St. Catharines, and I'm wondering if I could get that today.
Please.
I can answer probably a good part of that as chair of the Facilities and Building Committee for the board, along with the assistance of the chief and the deputy that both sit on the regional steering committee, along with two commissioners, Mr. Burgess and Mr. Tripp. We've had a fair number of discussions on the building in various scenarios on square footage and costs. There was a very substantial report put together by the BTY group, which broke it down to the cost per square foot on the various scenarios. We are aware of the I'll call it the budget envelope or the funding that's available as a result of completing this building and what's left in order for us to establish our new district in St. Catharines on Welland Avenue. There has been a fair number of sort of consulting cycles on this to refine those square footage numbers, and at the last meeting it was decided we need to bring it forward to the board, which will happen on Thursday, the 27th of July, to finally move forward on the proposed square footage and scenario costings on what that would be. If you're looking at a timeline, it would be if on the 27th, a decision on the board, which I think is vital in order to move forward because the property is sat basically fenced for almost a year and a half now. On the 27th meeting, if we're giving the approval to go forward with one of the scenarios, and I'm not going to preclude which scenario it is, because that's the responsibility of this board to make that decision, then tenders or a request for tendering on the building would go out probably sometime in the October timeframe based on the design. Well, there's still some fine-tuning on those designs. But if it did go out in October to the street, I suspect that would come back sometime in the November timeframe. And again, it's a regional building, so they're the ones that are doing the tendering. Then I would suspect as much as I hate to say building in the winter is not something I'm a big fan of because we went through a lot of issues here. I would say a shovel in the ground would be going in sometime February or March. But that's based on the board coming to a decision with the service on July 27th, and then instructions going back to the region to finalize the blueprints. I mean, the blueprints are not in to a point where they know where every wall outlet is or anything else. It's only to the blueprints that we've seen are basically the outer perimeter, so that we could determine square footage and where things fitted within the envelope of the building. So there's still a lot of work to be done on the blueprint part, but it's not a multi-story building. Sorry, it's a two-story building, but it's not as complex, obviously, as this building from a square footage perspective.
Construction period?
Excuse me?
The length of construction period anticipated?
Oh, that did come up. I thought it was somewhere in the area of 16 months, roughly. Am I reasonably accurate in that?
I think a lot of this still is in the guesstimate stage because they haven't got past the point of getting that report completed. And also the region has engaged a consultant to review the square footage floor plans, correct?
I think that consultant is what we heard at the last committee meeting. I thought that was pretty well to a point where there was some discussion of bringing in another consultant again, and there is a cost every time we go through that. And I believe there was a fair bit of discussion saying we've basically exhausted a number of consultants that can tell us basically the same thing.
That satisfy you? Yes. Thank you. Are there any other questions? No more business to come forward, no new business to come forward? Then I declare the meeting over. Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll start, can we start early on
Licensing?
licensing, or no? Okay, licensing will start at 10:30. Thanks.
There's a presentation to be done, hardware presentation.